for a long time before I'd be tender and stuff.
Oh, well, we're here to talk about Season 9, Episode 2, The Bridge.
Or as I like to call it, the metaphor.
Yeah.
There's one thing Walking Dead is not. It's subtle with its symbolism.
Yes.
Like, we're all trying to work together to build a bridge. Mm-hmm.
And we're
but I will say
building
this.
a bridge.
Yes, we're literally building a bridge.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or was this the best written episode in over 2 seasons?
It was mighty good, I will say that.
It was good. It's definitely. I was worried that the conflicts of the groups or whatever was going to be really contrived and stuff. But the way they're writing it is really making it a good transition from what happened before. You know?
Right. Well, and it kind of makes sense too. The way each group is acting in a way. Way each group is acting in a way.
We had some news. I guess there really hasn't been news. I guess the only news, and we kind of talked about this last week, so I don't want to beat it to death this week, but only that the ratings took another dip this week. It was down to a 2.0 from a 2.5 for the premiere, which it surprises me in the fact that last week was such a strong episode. I would have thought that it would have at least held on, and I was surprised it didn't even uptick a little bit just because of word of mouth. But
have we seen the +7 numbers yet?
No.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely going to need to see some of that word of mouth. Well, see some of that word of mouth kick in. You know, about the show improving before we see the numbers take a jump. But I mean, like we said last time, it's still like the highest rated show, second highest rated show on cable after Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not nothing to sneeze at, even with the different ratings.
Yeah.
I also wonder if Fear the Walking Dead, the change in it, hurt it in a way as well, where a lot of us that were not very satisfied with Fear the Walking Dead through the first 3 seasons totally flipped on the 4th season because it was really, really well done. Second half could have been a little better, but it was still really well done. But what's funny, I'm members of the subreddits for Walking Dead and for Fear the Walking Dead, and in the Fear the Walking Dead one, I never quite understood why so many people just loved this, that, and the other about the first 3 seasons, and since the 4th season, there's been nothing but vitriol and hate.
Wow.
There. So I was really surprised because they're talking about, they're mad that Madison's gone and Nick is gone and this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, that's some of the best stuff about, well, not necessarily Madison being gone, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't love this last season of Fear the Walking Dead, but I wonder if a lot of those people that got turned off to Fear have now done the same thing with The Walking Dead because it's got a new showrunner and it's a new, a fresh story now. They're starting fresh from a year and a half later and whatnot.
Kind of corollary to that, I wonder if having 2 shows on and not having a break in between them is kind of hurting this too, because I mean, when it was just the parent show, I mean, when they would premiere, it'd be a big deal. They promote it for a month ahead of time and everybody go, oh, new season starting or whatever, and now it's just like wall-to-wall Walking Dead all the time, whether it's Fear or the parent show, and it's kind of maybe taking away a little bit of that specialness of the premiere, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I could definitely see that. I'm curious to see if the rest of this half season is as well done as the first 2 episodes have been. I'm curious to see if the break at the midpoint, if we don't see an uptick for the second half. Like basically, people talk it up, word of mouth. People maybe catch up. Maybe if what's out last episode is that 8th episode or something like that. Maybe maybe it gets an uptick and it carries forward. We'll see. But again, there's like we said last week, the show this is the way that TV ratings are going. They are going down across the board.
Well, yeah,
in general, it's not just The Walking Dead. It's network television. Overall, I mean, it's funny. A 2.0 is like one of the highest rated shows on television right now, whereas 20 years ago that would have gotten canceled after like 2 episodes.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's the paradigm shift of the way people are ingesting their entertainment now. Sure. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I mean, now AT&T's talking about a streaming service for WB, and even Walmart is starting a streaming service with original content. I mean, it's getting ridiculous out there, and people's attention is so fragmented. I mean, I am so behind on the new seasons of television. I haven't seen any of the new DC stuff yet. I still haven't watched like Luke Cage season 2 and Iron Fist season 2. Not that I'm that excited to do that, but and then there's other things that are out. Just, I mean, it's hard to keep up anymore. So, a lot of things I'm still going to watch those things, but it's probably going to be much later because right now I'm having to prioritize things.
Yeah, I mean, even Facebook debuted a half-hour sitcom or show this week.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so many different outlets right now, so many different things going on. It's hard to keep up. I mean, between this and the Nothing's On podcast, I'm watching tons and tons of shows, and I'm still behind.
Well, and like I also wonder, with AT&T launching this WB thing, is it going to be included into what I've paid for the DC app, or is it going to be separate? I mean, if they're going to nickel and dime to death, even within their own companies, there are just going to be things I can't watch anymore. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I envision a point in the not so near future where it's like for 6 months out of the year I'm a subscriber to Netflix, and for 6 months I'm not, and I'm a subscriber to whatever else, and you basically just kind of come and go in and out of things, and just kind of binge and catch up and ditch and just kind of come back and forth.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But again, these are only U.S. ratings, they're only live ratings, they're not +7s, which again makes it tricky because you have advertisers. One of the things we didn't talk about was this AMC Premiere that they've launched, which is like which is kind of nuts that you pay more money and you get to see like the episode ahead of time, and you get to see what the next 10 minutes of the next episode a week early or something like that, and
commercial free as well.
Free, yeah. So I don't know what that's netting them. I mean, from AMC's perspective, why not, right? I mean, it's gravy at this point.
If I didn't have YouTube TV, I would probably do that because I hate the commercials on AMC's site streaming it from there. But I DVR it basically on YouTube TV, so I can just skip the commercials and it's no problem.
But, and then we talked about other revenue sources, we talked about international, we talked about all kinds of other things. So, I mean, again, being that AMC, this is internal to them, the show has a long tail, a very long tail. And if it's going to constantly be a rotating cast, whether that's good or bad, I think it helps them keep their costs down too. This isn't a Friends scenario. I think that's, kind of what they're seeing it with, there's rumor that Reedus actually signed that deal, like a very lucrative, high dollar deal with AMC, but they're not known for paying, even their star actors on the show a tremendous amount of money. And again, everybody's kind of expendable. It's that kind of show. So
I think now that they're getting some syndication money too, they're able to maybe pay a little more to their the core actors like Reedus, and maybe they'll be able to drive the money truck up for Tonight Garrow when the time comes. I think her contract's up at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep. But we'll see. I mean, I honestly, over the coming weeks, I would not be surprised if the numbers continue to slide to some degree, to be honest with you. But again, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's I don't think it's anything to worry about. AMC's fully committed to The Walking Dead, and I think it's going to be around for quite some time to come. So.
Well, I wonder how many other Brads are out there. Like Brad, he was gung-ho for Walking Dead. He helped start this podcast, all of that stuff. And then recently when we talked to him, he was like, yeah, I wasn't even going to watch season 9, but I'll probably watch it now that I know Lincoln and Cohen's leaving, just to see what happens. So, obviously somebody who was super enthused at the beginning of the series has completely lost. Just how many more are there like that? I'm guessing quite a bit, because the way they did the last 2 seasons, while there were enjoyable things, it just was not good.
Yeah.
It wasn't cohesive. So
agreed. All right, so that's our little bit of news. I don't have anything. There's not, like I said, there's not really anything else going on that I'm aware of. But this episode starts with Rick, and it's obvious to me. I mean, it was pretty obvious. He's visiting Negan in his cell or wherever they're keeping him, and he just kind of says, "Oh, it's been a while since we've had this talk. Let me catch you up on what's going on." He says it's day 35, and that confused me at first because I was like, day 35. Like I thought for a minute, was he going back and telling him like, okay, day 35 from the beginning, or what's going on? And then we started talking about the bridge and everything else. I was like, oh, okay, it's. And we find out later when Jesus talks to Maggie and he says, he's been down there a month. Like that Earl's been down there a month. I'm like, oh, okay, so the 35 days was the 35 days since they started the bridge. Yeah,
right.
And it's kind of like this, we get Rick talking, and then we cut away to what's really going on. They've set up a camp outside the bridge where everybody's kind of got intense, and it was kind of a cool thing. Like Jerry's getting some action. I mean,
I like the sign they had. It said the future.
Yes.
At the work camp. I thought that was pretty telling.
Yeah.
And like it's interesting too that like they have this idea of what the future should be, and yet all the tension at the camp and everything is kind of playing off that. Again, there's a lot of symbolism in this episode. It's not subtle in any way, but it works.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little Easter egg symbols was at the camp where they're making the bridge, and they had that pole of the different signs to Hilltop and Alexandria, and then at the bottom Toledo. I was like, it's a MASH
reference. Yeah.
And I was like, maybe not, but then they actually confirmed that on the Talking Dead after. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But I thought it was kind of cool that they're all, for the most part. I mean, obviously there's some issues with the Saviors that we'll get into, but everybody's kind of getting along. Like I said, I thought it was cool. Jerry's getting some action. Jerry's getting some love.
So it's not real.
Well, yeah,
it's about time for Jerry, though.
That's right. But they mentioned, as they're going through things, that 6 of the Saviors have walked off the job. And they put it that way too. It's like a construction project, and there's 6 guys that just left. Which obviously that's trouble ahead, as we'll find.
Right, but I mean, with the reputation of the Saviors and everything else, it wouldn't. I mean, it makes sense. It wouldn't really be raising alarms that they're just leaving.
No, but it definitely puts pressure on Rick because he's so, and we find
he's trying to hold it all together.
And we kind of as we get to the end, we kind of see where he has his moment where he's so focused on the fact that they're going to work on this bridge, they're all going to work on it together, everybody's going to be one big happy family, kumbaya, and we're, I'm going to show them it's going to work. He's almost blinded by his determination to make it work that he's letting things slip. As we'll find as well. Enid is training to be, I'm assuming at this point, like a medic at best, and eventually I'm assuming a doctor. I mean, there's not going to be any more medical school, so the only way you're going to learn how to be a doctor is by reading a bunch of books and having a doctor teach you how to be a doctor. So
I really like the I was going to say, I really like the kind of walk and talk that Rick and Eugene had.
Yeah.
When he finds out about the CD, it reminded me of like an Aaron Sorkin TV show, like West Wing or something.
Yeah.
The walk and talk, but like it was a good way to fill everybody in on what's going on with this without like just big exposition. Just like he has to break it down to Rick so it makes sense in the story.
Yeah.
They have to do it a week before the levee breaks, so I have nowhere to stay. And I really like the way they were talking about the Walker herds like hurricanes.
Yeah.
Category 3, about 100 zombies close by.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I thought it was a cool way for them to manage the Walker situation. Yeah.
And then he mentions, the food. The food is getting thin. Like, they're running low on food. And of course, Rick has a plan for that, which is Michonne, who goes to the hilltop to try and sweet talk Maggie into giving up more food. And she ain't having it because when Michonne gets there, Jesus mentions like, hey, they didn't show up with that ethanol they're supposed to show up with like 6 days ago or whatever, and nobody's seen them. So what's going on? Like, again, Maggie was reluctant to kind of go down this road to begin with, and she agreed to it. And now it's like, okay, well, if she feels like she's being taken advantage of, she's just gonna be like, screw you. Like, no, I'm not gonna just keep bending over. I'm not gonna keep saying, well, oh yeah, we'll make this deal, and you guys are gonna have this is your end of the bargain, this is my end of the bargain. Oh, you broke your end, so I'm gonna still honor mine. It's like
I could totally support that.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes sense. I know that it's causing tension, but it makes sense. It's the right decision for a leader of a community to make in this situation.
But there seems to be this whole thing lately, and this isn't the first time it's happened, where Maggie, is like stonewalling and taking a tough stance and everything, and then finally relents. It's a pattern we've seen a few times with Maggie now.
Yeah. And
so I'm sorry, it'll make sense down the road since we know that she is going to come into conflict. It's, keep constantly setting up this thing where she's had to compromise her leadership just for the greater good, and it's kind of bitten her in the ass a few times.
Yeah. Well, and she's being a little bit, again, kind of like Rick. Like Rick is committed to what he's doing, and he's almost blinded by it. Maggie is so committed to being the leader and playing hardball that she almost like cuts off her nose to spite her face. When she's like, oh, well, Michonne mentions to her, oh, what about the plow that we brought back? And she's like, well, it needs to be fixed, and I don't have a blacksmith right now because he's in jail. And Michonne is like, well, can't you like have him come out and fix it, and you can plow these fields? It's just like, and Maggie's like, well, we have enough food. Like the only reason we would do that is to make enough food for everybody else. And I'm like, can you ever have too much food? Like, is that a thing? Like, I mean, I guess technically
it also highlights how they don't have like codified laws. Yes. They don't have a thing where you do this is what happens. You do this is a clear consequence. I mean, they've got Earl in there with like no timetable at all for release, no visitation, none of that because they haven't worked that part out.
Yeah. And again, there's always something going on. Especially when it comes to food, it's like, why would you limit your opportunity to make more food? What if you had a bad crop or a freeze or weevils or rats or whatever? And she's so committed to the fact that she's going to punish this guy because it's what she thinks she needs to do. And on top of it, she's not going to make more food for everybody else to take advantage of. But again, in the end, I think she's kind of hurting herself. Like it's definitely coming back. It definitely could have a potential comeback. So but she stands firm and she tells Michonne, well, it's late. You could stay here. And Michonne's like, yeah, I think I will. And so again, Michonne is, as we saw last episode, she's angling for civility, right? So or not just civility, but rules, laws. They all need to start kind of coming to a determination as to how they're going to, make laws, enforce laws, treat each other. Who gets to say, who lives, who dies, who's punished, who's not punished, and all those kind of things. And so this is kind of her subtle way of kind of working it. And it all worked to me. Like her, she wasn't annoying with it. She wasn't conniving with it. She was, she's coming from a place of truly wanting to do the right thing. And, when she has, later we'll get to it, when she has her talk with Jesus, I was like, this is like well done. Like, I think the writing, I don't know if it's just because Angela Kang is taking, the right either hard or soft touch to the writer's room, but it just seems like we're not seeing some of this like stupid decision making, like, just kind of sloppy storytelling and those kind of things. I mean, we saw a little bit of it last week, but again, I think we kind of explained the purpose and the payoff of that. But this week, everything, seemed to flow natural. Like you could understand people's motivations and reason for them to say and do the things that they're doing.
And Michonne is like 100% behind Rick.
Sure.
Yeah. But she realizes that Rick can't do it all himself. And he's got his hands full trying to keep the Saviors in line, trying to keep everyone else from killing the Saviors, trying to keep everybody on task and everything. And I think she's trying to do her best to like fix the shifting sand behind him that he's leaving in his wake. But yeah, definitely. I'm glad they're giving everyone like a chance to act in a way that makes sense. We're not. I know like in the past few seasons we questioned like some of the motives. It's like why are they acting this way? There wasn't like consistency from episode to episode, and I think they've really worked on that a lot so far this season.
Well, I feel, and you guys may have talked about this last week. I haven't heard last week yet, but I feel that a lot of things have leveled up on this show this season. I mean, the effects alone, the makeup of these zombies, I think has been a higher quality than they've had in a while on there, and they've always had pretty high quality makeup effects and whatnot. But I mean, this season, it reminds me of season 2, where you got some really good shots of some really gory zombies and whatnot. So I think they've leveled up in that area. The cinematography is worlds different than it has been the last 2 seasons, and it is a huge improvement. The direction, the editing seems well done. Everything seems to have leveled back up after what we've experienced the last couple of seasons.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I agree with that.
So if that's Angela Kang, then hats off.
Yeah.
I think it really needed it too,
For sure.
And again, I think we turned up the ratings at the beginning, but I think that the word of mouth, as people realize that it's getting back to where it should be, it was really going to eventually bring the ratings either in line or bring them even back up. So we'll see, obviously.
Yep. I have a note here that says Aaron's beard. Aaron's growing a mighty impressive beard. I'm very impressed with his beard.
Gotta respect the beard.
That's right.
I love the scene with him and Daryl where he tells Daryl what a great dad he'd be.
Yeah, Daryl's like, "Are you high?"
I was like, what?
He just has that nail in his hand. He looks at him like, "What?" Yeah, that's pretty funny. And I forget what's the kid. What's his name? The
Henry? No.
Henry, yes, I'm sorry, Henry.
Yeah.
Henry's kind of being guarding the water, and gives it to I didn't catch the savior with the long hair. The one he's actually on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He played this Russian guy.
Joe, or for some reason I'm thinking it started with a J.
I don't know. I kept listening for his name and I didn't catch his name, which was bugging me.
They mentioned it a few times on Talking Dead. That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, but
no, that's not.
Jerk. It was Jerk.
Yeah, close enough. I didn't catch his name, so it was really bugging me. Justin.
Yes, Justin. Yeah.
Sorry, Zach McGowan. Who's the actor? Henry goes over, gives Justin some water. It's not enough. He wants to take more, so he pushes Henry down, and then Daryl gets up, and they kind of get into it.
Well, first Henry takes him down with his stick. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I like that.
And then Jed like mocks him for being chewed up by a kid.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Daryl and Justin go at it.
Yeah, and then of course Rick sees it and tries to split him up. And he kind of, again, Rick, because he's committed to making this work, he's kind of diplomatic about it, and just kind of tells everybody to cool off, and And the problem at this point is Daryl's like, look, they're no good. Like these people are rotten, and we keep trying to make it work with them, and it's not gonna work. And Daryl's opinion is like, we just need to cut ties with these. Like enough is enough.
Yeah. And we keep seeing between this episode and last, we're seeing more and more chinks in the Daryl and Rick friendship over the Saviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, especially with this sort of Justin thing. Daryl kind of questions Rick's leadership. Letting Justin off.
Yeah.
And Rick kind of stands up to him. We're seeing like in the past few seasons, Rick and Daryl have been like thick as thieves. Watching each other's backs. We're kind of seeing them facing off on this issue.
Yeah. He even questions if they're on the same side. He's like, we're all on the same side, and he's like, are we, Rick?
Yeah.
I think we moved in that direction at the end of the episode, but we'll see how that plays out. We cut back to the hilltop, and Tammy's standing outside the storm, the shelter doors, where down into the basement where they're keeping Earl. And she's like, "Look, I've lost my son. My husband's been locked up here. I haven't seen him in a month. She won't let me go down and see him." And she's trying to kind of she's making a plea to Jesus that she wants to visit Earl. And she puts her chair down and says, "Look, you tell Maggie I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not moving until she lets me down there."
By the way, it's great to see Brett Butler on. I mean, she is amazing. It's been so long. I can't even remember the last thing I saw her on.
Race Under Fire.
Yeah,
it's cool to see her in a serious role too.
Yeah.
I know she's known for stand-up mostly in comedies.
Yeah. We see Anne and Father Gabriel where they start to have a bit of a moment, and Anne is drawing a picture, which we'll find out who that is a little later on. But you can tell she's obviously making overtures to Father Gabriel.
Yeah, they talk about frog mating calls and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a little kinky.
Yeah.
And he's not a Catholic.
And then Gabriel mentions, "Oh, I'm Episcopalian."
yeah. I'm not Catholic.
I mean, he can get freaky dicky if he needs to.
Yeah.
But
But I thought it was cool that she's like, well, they don't accept me. They're not going to take me in, and she even admits, like, with good reason. Like they have a reason not to trust me, not to want me in their crew. And Gabriel says, well, the same was true with me. And it's really, some of this was maybe a little slightly over the top with the whole Rick love.
Yeah.
But Gabriel said, that's what's great about Rick is he accepted me and he forgave me and he took me back in and gave me an opportunity to prove myself. And just trying to reassure her, if she sticks with it, like she kind of stays with the plan, like they'll forgive her too. Like she can kind of turn that corner.
Well, the thing I thought was cheesy, it wasn't that, was Gabriel said something like, "I'm supposed to be on watch," and then Jadis was like, "Then watch." And I was like, really? But anyway, it was a cool scene. It's interesting to see those two kind of misfits put together too.
Yeah, I definitely like this version of Jadis better than the other version of Jadis.
Isn't it Anne now or something?
Yeah, that's why.
I'm liking this version of Father Gabriel. He looks like a badass now.
Well, yeah, and I think he's finally figured out who he is. I think we're done with the flip-floppy, doesn't know what side he's on, looking to save his own ass, Father Gabriel. And if so, I'm glad.
That's one of the few storylines that evolved last season that I thought paid off well, was him coming into his own, basically.
Yeah. So we come back to the hilltop, and we get the scene with Maggie and Jesus, and Maggie looks through the. Jesus is looking through the letters and sees that again they've kind of been like pen paling with Georgie, and Maggie's kind of like playing along and humoring her and saying and Jesus is like, well, she's going to keep asking you if you want to join up, and Maggie's like, nope. Maggie's firmly with the hilltop. I mean, that's she's committed to making it work, and you can see outside, they're building, they have the main house, and you can see they're building up the other houses, they're reinforcing the walls, they've got the, they're getting the crops going and everything. It's kind of cool just seeing these communities. I mean, obviously we've seen a little bit of Alexandria, we've seen a little bit of Hilltop. We haven't really seen too much of the other areas yet, but it's kind of cool to see them, building back up and expanding, and really, working on moving forward with where they are. So.
Yeah, and they're kind of having their own flavors too. I mean, Alexandria is different from the Hilltop, different from Sanctuary, and they're all kind of set apart from one another, so it's clearly delineated. Yeah.
And she talked to Maggie about, or Jesus talked to Maggie about, letting Tammy talk to Earl, and they kind of have this little. It was a really good back and forth they had, where Maggie's like, oh, Michonne's been talking to you, and Jesus is like, look, just good people can still disagree, right? Like it's like you can have an opinion, I can have an opinion. We don't have to agree with each other, and it doesn't make us terrible people, and it doesn't make us needing to be at each other's throats. There's a little metaphor for real life if I ever heard one. But I think Maggie starts to kind of see, like, Jesus isn't against her, and he's not taking, and I think he helped her see that Michonne isn't there to undermine her. Like, that's not her thing, but just to kind of give a different perspective and to maybe get her to just think outside the box a little bit and not be so hard-edged about, just because you make a decision doesn't mean you can't go back and kind of rethink it and, and adjust your opinion.
Yep. If only we could apply that to real life.
Exactly. That's my, that's what I'm saying. Then we got the Rosita and the she's like the demolition woman now or something. Rosita, she's got her hair braided up, she's got her sweatpants on, she's got her she's lean and mean, man. Yeah. And so yeah,
is this where she has that line about I don't need somebody who tried to slash my face off to tell me how to do explosives, because I mean that really kind of underlined me, like some of the big hatred that's going on for a lot of the saviors,
Yeah, she's like, shouldn't we move back? And Rosita's like, no, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And yeah, then they have the bit about the whole slash in the face. So, but again, I think Rosita's willing to. Okay, yeah, we're not going to, go, have a sleepover anytime soon, but, we can get this job done, and we can, basically get along. But yeah, they blow the dynamite in an effort to make a big commotion to kind of move the herd off that direction to kind of guide, what's going on, so that they, that the crew can still make progress on the bridge. And it actually worked.
Yep. Well,
this stage of the plan worked fine. So Maggie relents, and she did let Tammy go see Earl, and, they're able to talk to her. And Maggie's there watching, as the two of them have their interaction, and, he talks about the drinking and everything. And so later Maggie goes and talks to Earl herself, just goes down there kind of one-on-one, and she makes him tell her about his drinking, and not just the incident with Gregory, but just overall, like what's your story? And he talks about how, he started drinking when he was smoking, and it wasn't like a gradual thing. He basically just went both feet forward into drinking, and it was so bad he doesn't even remember like his son being born or remember, anything about those moments because he was so drunk.
This ties back to like season 3. Yeah. Like when Herschel gets away from his own house in Nebraska to go drink in the bar, and Rick and Daryl find him and stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's great to see it tie back to storylines from back on for long-time viewers like us.
Yeah. And I think it gives Maggie a good out to do what she does, which is let Earl out, kind of on a provisionary basis to do what he needs to do. Because, she says at the end of the episode, she's like, somebody once gave my father, he was a drunk and he was given a second chance. And because of that, other people, were allowed an opportunity to do good things and to live, essentially. Yeah. And so it kind of, she kind of gets some perspective on Earl. But even Earl says, he asks her, he's like, well, why didn't you, you hung Gregory, but you didn't hang me? And she says, well, I think she tells Jesus later, or she tells, I think she tells Michonne, like, some people can be saved, or some people can change and some people can't, or some people can be saved and some can't. Just like Gregory was rotten to the core. Like, I mean, just every opportunity he got, he did bad things. No matter how many breaks you gave him, no matter how many times he was caught red-handed, he just couldn't stop. And she just didn't see that in Earl. But Earl even tells her, like Gregory didn't make me do those things. Trying to hurt you and everything else. Like, yeah, it didn't work, but that was in me. Like, that wasn't, he didn't hold a gun to my head and make me do it. All that stuff was in me. And so I think that kind of gives her the whole, like, keep him at arm's length. Like, we see at the end of the episode, she lets him out, and there's a guy with a rifle standing there while he's doing his thing. Right. But it kind of speaks to, and we'll get to Maggie's kind of change of heart